Hello everyone. Today we are here to talk about the oldest active U.S. Marine fighter squadron, the VMFA-232. This fighter squadron, most known as the famous Red Devils, is also the most awarded and decorated one in the U.S. Navy. In this video, we're going to loop back time and retrace the illustrious history of this squadron and how it became a legend in the U.S. aviation. The Red Devil Squadron wasn't always registered as VMFA-232. Originally, it was designated as Fighting Plane Squadron 3M, VF-3M. All started on the 1st of September 1925 at Naval Air Station of San Diego, in California, where its first skipper, Second Lieutenant Clayton C. Jerome, took it to the skies in a VE-7SF with a shining Red Devil insignia on the aft fuselage. The well-known Red Devil insignia had some graphic changes through the time, but always kept this red diamond and its devil, which creation remains mysterious to this day. In April 1927, the squadron embarked for the first time aboard the USS Henderson, sailing from Shanghai to provide close air support in the Chinese area. Between 1927 and 1936, the squadron flew 4 different bombers, including the FB-1, F-6C4, and F-4B4. With the arrival of the BG-1, the squadron was redesignated as Marine Bombing Squadron 2 until its transition to the SBD-1. After a few squadron designation changes, this group of 68 trained men and 2 officers answered to the Tension in the Pacific in 1941 and got reassigned as Scout Bombing Squadron 232. It's the first time the 232 number is getting on the scene. Deployed in Hawaii, it was here that the squadron saw its first combat action of World War II and suffered the loss and damage of 19 of its 20 aircraft during the Pearl Harbor attack.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
In August 1942, the Red Devils 3BD-3 are the first dive bombers being sent off the decks of the USS Long Island to fly against the Japanese. In August 1942, the opportunity came to avenge the attacks on Pearl Harbor and Wake Island. Assigned to MAG-23, the squadron embarked with its new SBD-3 Dauntlesses on board the escort carrier USS Long Island, and on the 20th of August, landed on Guadalcanal's 3,000-foot dirt runway called Henderson Field. The first combat missions were flown on the 23rd of August. Although several Japanese ships were sighted, it was not until the 25th that the squadron, now assigned to the 1st Marine Aircraft Wing, scored and confirmed hits. Second Lieutenant Lawrence Baldinis seriously damaged an enemy cruiser when he dropped a bomb on a ship just forward of the bridge. 2 transports and a destroyer were also hit that day. Under the leadership of Major Mangrum, the Red Devils were in almost daily action against the Japanese. When the squadron left Guadalcanal on 13th of October 1942, Mangrum, newly promoted to lieutenant colonel, was the only pilot of the original 15 Guadalcanal Red Devils able to work away from Henderson Field. 7 pilots have been killed, 4 wounded, and the rest evacuated. For his actions at Guadalcanal, Mangrum received the Navy Cross and the first Distinguished Flying Cross awarded for the Guadalcanal campaign. Another time redesignated with the arrival of TBF-1s as Marine Bombing Squadron 232, the Red Devils continued to pound enemy shipping airfields and installations throughout the entire Pacific until the end of hostilities in August 1945. During its participation in operations throughout World War II, VMFA-232 lost 49 Marines and 17 aircraft. In 1945, the squadron, one of the few to earn 2 Presidential Unit citations during the war, returned to San Diego and was temporarily decommissioned. The squadron was reactivated in reserve at El Toro, California in June 1948 and received the first delivery of the F-4U-4s. In 1953, the Red Devils transitioned to the jet age with the F-9F2 and got homeport to the Kaneohe Bay in Hawaii. After receiving new F-4J4s 2 years before in 1958, the squadron got deployed on the USS Bennington Flying Combat Air Patrol missions. With the prodigious technical progress in aviation, the F-8D arrived and created the VMFA-232, a squadron capable of operating under every weather. The next 290 days spent in Vietnam, the Red Devils got new records, flying 5,385 sorties and 7,273 flight hours, delivering 6,221 tons of ordnance. In September 1967, a return to El Toro was required to receive the brand new legendary F-4 Phantoms, which will create the Marine Fighter Attack Squadron 232, known today as VMFA-232. Now it's time to talk about a major event in the VMFA-232 history. In 1988, the last Red Devil Phantom was flown to the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, and in 1989, it's the transition from the F-4 to the amazing FA-18 Hornet. In December 1990, the VMFA-232 with its brand new jets is deployed at Bering in support of Operation Desert Shield. At this time, big operations are starting for the squadron. We are in January 1991 when the Red Devils were among the first to cross the Iraqi border during the famous Operation Desert Storm, the one where the VMFA-232 will complete 740 combat missions, 1,390 combat flight hours, and 41 days. Day and night combat air patrols continued until the onset of Operation Desert Storm, which began on the 17th of January 1991 with massive coalition air strikes. The Red Devils had aircraft in all 5 waves of the first day's strikes. Leading from the front, Lieutenant Colonel Simpson flew in the first mission, which launched shortly after midnight. On his wing was Captain Donald A. Ulsh. Their mission was suppression of the Iraqi electronic air defense system in order to protect a 30-plane strike on Shaba Air Base in Iraq. Throughout this mission, pilots aggressively yanked and banked their aircraft to avoid anti-aircraft fire consisting of both artillery and surface-to-air missiles.
Okay, flying. Stop up and south. Another SAM launch, same location. Sam, southeast of the target area. Okay, fly.
Oh, shit!
North SAM launches. Stroke 3 defending.
The squadron came back home in 1995 at San Diego, but also achieved a milestone during this period by surpassing 50,000 mishap-free flight hours. From 1995 to 2000, this squadron continued its proud tradition of excellence by completing 11 combined arms exercise and 4 unit deployment programs, while amassing 5 Chief of Naval Operations Safety Awards 5 times. Additionally, in 1996, the squadron once again earned the honored Robert M. Hansen Award as the Marine Fighter Attack Squadron of the Year. In the wake of the events of September 11, 2001, VMFA-232 is deployed to Andersen Air Force Base to assume the mission of homeland defense of Guam and the Marianas Islands. While supporting Operation Noble Eagle, the Red Devils surpassed 90,000 mishap-free flight hours, setting a new record in Marine fighter aviation. As tensions mounted in the Middle East, as Operation Iraqi Freedom began, the Red Devils were among the first to fly in the combat zone. From March to May 2003, VMFA-232 flew over 800 combat sorties, the most in Marine Aircraft Group 11, totaling 1,700 hours, while dropping over 640,000 pounds of ordnance on enemy positions. By doing so, the Red Devils significantly contributed to the destruction of 8 Iraqi divisions, allowing Marine Expeditionary Force to advance toward Baghdad with significantly reduced resistance. Targets hit by the Red Devil pilots included hangars at Sheba Air Base Command and control centers at Talil, train yards and a refinery at Al-Bashar, a train yard at Al-Zabar, and an ammunition storage facility south of Kuwait International Airport. The direct hit on the latter target produced massive secondary explosions estimated to be in the 1.8 megaton range. From May to November 2005, the squadron is deployed aboard an aircraft carrier for the first time in 46 years. While deployed, the squadron operated out of the Arabian Gulf and flew over 200 combat sorties, totaling 1,200 hours in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. On the 1st of September 2005, the milestone of 80 years of activity has been passed. In 2006, a new aircraft transition is planned from the FA-18C to the FA-18A+, favoring better avionics systems and tremendous increase in combat capability. Shortly thereafter, the squadron began preparing for another carrier deployment. After completing 5 pre-deployment detachments, both afloat and ashore, the Red Devils deployed once again aboard the USS Nimitz in April 2007. This time to support Operation Enduring Freedom. During the 2007 deployment on board the USS Nimitz, the squadron continued its long tradition of support of U.S. troops and Marines engaged in combat. Operating in the Persian Gulf and North Arabian Sea, the Devils flew combat sorties in support of both Operations Enduring and Iraqi Freedom. The squadron employed precision and unguided munitions to include strafing runs in support of troops in both theaters of operations. During the Western Pacific deployment of 2007, the squadron accumulated 1,124 arrested landings and flew 2,400 hours from the USS Nimitz. The squadron returned to the MCAS Miramar in September 2007 after successful deployment. From May to November 2010, the squadron deployed 10 FA-18C and 2 FA-18D aircraft to Kandahar Airfield in Afghanistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. The combat missions Red Devil pilots flew included non-traditional intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance missions, counter-improved explosive device missions, and close air support. Ordnance deployment was frequent, and Red Devil pilots strafed and bombed the enemy, often in close proximity to friendly troops. VMFA-232, now commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Daniel A. Shipley, set out for Afghanistan, a journey that required 4 flight legs spanning nearly 10 days. Kandahar had an extremely busy airfield, with a spectrum of nations represented. As the first land-based FA-18 squadron in Afghanistan, the Red Devils flew over 1,700 sorties and 4,900 combat hours. Flying under the call sign Stoic, the Red Devils dropped over 71,000 pounds of ordnance and shot over 20,000 rounds of 20mm in support of Marines and coalition forces in the Helmand province. Combat operations went on 24 hours per day and night close air support, including strafing, was not uncommon. The Hornets were allowed to descend to a lower altitude for strafing runs when enemy troops were plainly visible. With nearly every employment inside of 500 meters, VMFA-232 gained the trust and confidence of battalion commanders, air officers, joint tactical air controllers, and the individual Marine or coalition partner on the ground. The call sign Stoic became a known and much preferred brand of support. As the deployed progressed, ground forces ceased requesting first available fixed-wing support, but simply requested Stoic. VMFA-232's successful pre-deployment training plan and subsequent combat deployment earned them the coveted Robert M. Hansen Award as the Marine Fighter Attack Squadron of the Year 2011. After over 85 years, VMFA-232 remains today, as it always has, ready to answer the nation's call. In the Red Devils' illustrious history, the squadron has received the Presidential Unit Citation with 3 Bronze Stars, the Navy Unit Commendation Streamer with 2 Bronze Stars, the Meritorious Unit Commendation Streamer with 4 Bronze Stars, 4 Marine Corps Aviation Association Hansen Awards, the Marine Corps Aviation Association Commandant's Aviation Trophy, and 9 CNO Safety Awards.